Hello everyone, I'm your host Pensyfan19 and welcome to the July 2026 Pensyfan Periodical. This is a monthly news series which covers most of the major railroading headlines from around the world, as well as my opinions on them. We have a lot of articles to go over today, so with that in mind, let's get rolling. Starting off the 250th birthday month of the United States, we have a massive renaming of a railway museum dedicated to America's first railroad, as the B&O Railroad Museum has officially rebranded to the National Museum of Railroad History and Innovation. Ever since the museum was opened by the Baltimore and Ohio on July 4th, 1953 at their Montclair shops, this museum has primarily collected rolling stock native to the greater Baltimore region, with its name now being changed shortly after the 250th 4th of July as part of an ongoing campus renovation. Specifically, this rename is to coincide with a more general historic focus for the upcoming bicentennial of American railroading next year, with the brand new Innovation Hall and Public Archives opening in the South Car Works building. Due to the massive departure from the B&O name for a more national one, many rail fans were displeased with the new name due to sounding too generic and lengthy, and due to its logo being too simple in design when compared to the iconic B&O circle and name that served the museum for decades. As luck would have it, I actually just so happened to visit this very museum mere weeks before the rebrand was announced, and saw the new building under construction, albeit without any signs of rebranding. Although I understand the historic reasoning for the rebrand, I also personally prefer the original name of the museum as it's more synonymous with the Baltimore region. So maybe instead of starting the name with National, replace it with Baltimore to be more specific as to where the museum is? That's just my opinion though. But, seeing how the museum wants to focus on expanding broader railroading history, this does pose the opportunity for the recently rebranded museum to acquire more rolling stock from other parts of the country outside of the Baltimore or B&O sphere of influence. Although I and several other rail fans are sad to see the end of the B&O name, I am excited to see what the next chapter of the museum has in store as they focus on the 200th anniversary of American railroading, as well as what new exhibits and potential new rolling stock will be on display in the newly expanded building scheduled to open this January. Speaking of which, here's some interesting news. The South Shore Line painted one of their Nippon Sharyo EMUs into its as-built livery, where it attended the Pullman Railroading Days event along with Illinois Central EMUs to celebrate 100 years of IC electrification. The MBTA repainted GP40MC number 1128 into a New Haven Railroad Heritage livery. The Colebrookdale Railroad is to convert CN5288 into the world's first zero-emission steam locomotive. Tyne & Wear Metros donated a Metro car ridden by Queen Elizabeth to the Northeast Land, Sea and Air Museum. The Severn Valley Metro is to trial commuter rail service with their Class 108s and 101s. 2 BR Class 56s have been placed in service in Ghana. Moldova has converted a Tatra T3 tram into a battery rail car. OBB received a 2000 Siemens Vectron, while CD cancelled their tender for dual-mode Vectrons in addition to extra Siemens rolling stock. SNCF Voyagers has partnered with Malaysia Airlines for better connecting services. East Japan Railways has released renderings for the E927 Inspection HST. CSX celebrated National French Friday. Oklahoma City proposed commuter rail service between Edmond and Norman. And Metro North completed their Park Avenue Viaduct rehab project 5 years ahead of schedule. With regards to follow-up news, Amtrak revealed their restructuring plan, which involves creating 3 different subdivisions for the railroad. Renderings have been released for the proposed COCO service to be operated by Amtrak. An updated rendering has been revealed for the Italo Siemens Velaros for Germany. Leo Express Talgo sets have been pulled from service. The GBRF Class 99 has entered service, along with India's hydrogen-powered MU. And Union Pacific Big Boy 4014 has finished its historic East Coast tour after reaching its destination city of Philadelphia and after passing through the world-famous Horseshoe Curve. In other news, Madrid Metro is to extend Line 11 to Valdebebas. The Algarve line has been electrified. Sao Paulo Line 6 has started service along with Belo Horizonte Metro Line 2. Oakhampton Interchange Station has opened. Kendall MIT Station has been refurbished. LARR opened Yampank B&L Station. Nathaniel P. Ford has been named the new CEO of DART. NJT is selling their World Cup ambassador jerseys. Spain won the FIFA World Cup at Meadowlands Stadium, with Lionel Messi being featured in a Railway Age article. Zimbabwe approved construction of the Harare Light Rail, while Thailand tested their domestically built LRV. BVG has placed their Alstom Urban Liner trams into service, while Melbourne also placed their Alstom trams into service. Alstom Extrapolis EMUs have started service in the same country, while Turbo Flirt Evos have started service. The Tobu Railway Class 9000 has entered service, along with CRC EMUs for Serbian railways. Fullert Pro DER 100 switchers have started service in Brazil, while express service of Rus Type ES 3000 switchers have entered service in UZ. AKM Trax Universal engines have started service for Netzerkban Sachsen, while Stadler Euroduals have started service for Neolox. Port Polska Leasing placed their livery on a PKP Intercity locomotive. CFL has retired their Class 3000, while OBB has retired their Reichert 4020. GBRF 66745 has been named Wigan Springs Branch. The Colebrookdale Railroad acquired a Pullman coach from the Madison Hotel in Morristown. Norwood and St. Lawrence 210 has been acquired by the St. Lawrence Power and Equipment Museum. And the Nevada State Railroad Museum is to host a motor car rally featuring several motor cars, or doodlebugs, on September 5th to 7th. And happy 40th anniversary to Omnitrax. And to celebrate America's 250th birthday, we have several more America 250 locomotives that released this month, including a Florida Central GP9RM, a Vermont Rail System GP38-2, an East Broad Top Caboose, a Wilmington and Western SW1, and the Milwaukee Road SD40-2 repainted into its bicentennial livery. Better yet, it was announced that the North Carolina Transportation Museum will be hosting an official gathering of countless America 250 locomotives from August 28th to the 30th. After all that, it's now time for this month's Meme of the Month. This month's Meme of the Month is Cracker Barrel style rebranding. And now, the top story of the July 2026 Pensyfan Periodical is Stadler to build VIA Rail long-distance locomotives. Right when everyone thought the top story would be America-centric with their 250th birthday, in comes Canada to steal the spotlight with an 11th-hour entry. To the surprise of pretty much everyone, Stadler announced that they will be constructing 45 new long-distance diesel battery hybrid locomotives to replace most of their existing fleet, including the F40s, thus being the first diesel battery locomotive class that Stadler produced in the North American market. With the announcement of the new locomotive order, Stadler also announced that they will be constructing a new plant in Montreal to build these engines, thus helping them further expand the North American market. Even though these engines are supposed to be primarily utilized for a long-distance, regional, and remote rail program, it is unknown as to whether they also won the much larger long-distance coach contract initially announced in 2025. Other than its similarities to the Siemens Charger, some people noted how its design looks similar to the EMD F125, and interestingly enough, the F125 was developed in part by Vossloh, which ended up being bought up by Stadler, so maybe some of the similarities to the F125 stem from that. I, like everyone else, am surprised that Stadler won this bid with an entirely new design, especially seeing how VIA Rail already rosters Siemens Chargers and Venture coaches, so I would have guessed that such a contract would have gone to Siemens for standard maintenance procedures across all fleet at some point in the future. But with this win, this now makes Stadler a serious contender in the North American rolling stock market outside of multiple units, as their historically high quality of interior design and engine performance now gives Siemens a run for their money. Also of note, Stadler is now directly competing with Siemens on 3 rolling stock fronts, technically first with multiple units, but now more notably with light rail, especially with their CityLink trams recently winning the Austin Light Rail contract and with the UTA contract 2 years prior, and now in the locomotive market with their diesel hybrid locomotives for VIA. With this new entry in the North American rolling stock market, it'll certainly be exciting to see what new entries from Stadler and other manufacturers will come next, and Stadler's new entry into the locomotive market now makes the competition in North America all the more competitive. Thank you everyone for watching this month's episode of the Pensyfan Periodical. There have been a lot of rail news headlines for the month, and it'll be very interesting to see what the future has in store for all these articles. Thank you again for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe for more. Have a good day.